I remember the first time I got arrested in LA. It was like the end of 2015. It was in early December. And up in North Hollywood, like in the middle of the night, I took the train. I was getting harassed. So I hopped on the train real trickily, like, and it went all the way out to, I don't know, some town out there. And I started, I sat there for a while. And I'm gonna have to walk if I'm gonna make it to North Hollywood subway. I started walking and walking, and my phone. It was a car that was like cars that were always around, and my phone was hacked. I couldn't, get any, satisfaction, and I can get convinced that the cars were hacking me. So as I approached further, and it got later and whatnot, about 2 in the morning, there was a Sunoco station with a lot of cars buzzing around. I said, "This is the GameStop," which I can tell. I'm not fucking stupid, and as I approached, buzzing around, and I approached a tow truck and took out a stanchion. It was like a metal brick, and when one of them drove by me, I just bam, I went through it right as the back door, and I threw it hard, and then I ran down the street into a backyard, and I lied down, and within seconds, the whole place was hot. A helicopter was over my head. It had a beam in the backyard on me eventually, and it takes too long, and then of course, the police cruisers were everywhere, and I think I might have walked out there or what, but they caught me, and this older guy was like, he knew exactly that I was being set up. My thing was, you guys set me up. I know what you're doing, and they're like, no, it's your bad luck. And I spit in the cop's face because I got so frustrated. I felt bad about that. But they gave me extra time for that too, and the point is, I just felt like, buddy, you're not telling me the truth, and you're taking me to jail. Fuck you. And that's why I was so frustrated. Anyway, so I get to court, and I start talking about, these cars were harassing me and whatnot. And the judge goes, you stop talking about those cars, or you're going to go to the hospital, and you can tell the doctor your stories. I'm like, what the fuck, Mr. Chill? I don't want to go to the hospital. That's like a 6-week detour into hell. So, I shut my mouth. And then my lawyer, he says, next court day, we can plead out, Ryan, I start talking about the cars again. Fuck, Ryan, I don't know what you're talking about. That's kind of crazy. Why don't you, I can get you 6 months if you want to take it. But I took the 6, I did 4. And it was kind of hell. I was in the towers and I made it through. And then they tacked on 2 weeks I had to go to because I somehow got down to Santa Ana way down one night around Christmas, and I shoplifted some candy bars, and I got caught by a 7-Eleven guy, and he got me busted. And I went to jail. I had the warrant, so they shipped me all the way down to Orange County for 2 weeks. I had to stay in that jail. That was a real education and white power, because they had a pretty good white gang. You had to do what they said. You had to be a member. So that was my little story of that. But it gave me a bad rap from the beginning, and I learned very quickly how corrupt the court systems and everything, the courts, the police, the entire system, knew what was going on, but they were playing games, and it was so obvious. So it was frustrating. I'm Eddie Ryan. Thanks for talking with you. Bye, Pen.